Thank you so much for being here, all three of you, and thank you for this film. Watching it with this audience was a joy. As you said, Fabienne, in your introduction, it's a film that makes you feel good, I think, and I felt that in the room today. I want to begin by asking a bit about the novel that you adapted that became this film. In a sense, I think this topic of one person impersonating another is inherently cinematic. It's something that you want to see and hear and sort of witness for yourself. And I'm curious what about the book you were most excited to bring to the screen? What was the sort of kernel that inspired the project?
Ce qui m'a inspiré, c'est l'idée même déjà de toute façon de pouvoir être remplacé sur cet iPhone. Mais ce qui me touchait plus, parce que moi je suis pas habituée à faire des comédies, c'est l'idée qu'à un moment donné, quand on confie son téléphone à quelqu'un, et c'est effectivement toute une identité en fait qu'on lui confie, ça va permettre à l'écrivain justement de changer ce qu'il n'arrive pas lui-même à faire et ce que Baptiste va lui permettre de faire. Et c'était cette idée du changement, en tout cas, qui, moi, m'intéressait particulièrement. Ce qui m'intéressait aussi, c'est toute la relation entre Baptiste et Elsa, avec toute cette histoire sur la peinture, le fait qu'elle demande à Baptiste de poser en femme, et puis de cette autorisation, en fait. Donc c'est vraiment les deux points qui m'intéressait particulièrement, ouais.
Well, first of all, it inspired the idea of itself, this possibility to have yourself be replaced through the telephone. And what touched me most here, because I'm not used to making comedies, was this idea of giving your phone to someone in a way being a way to give over your whole identity, and which is going to allow this writer to change something about his life that he can't do on his own, that Baptiste will do for him. So change was what really interested me. Also with the business of Baptiste and the painting with Baptiste posing as a woman. So these were the two main aspects.
I think Salif's performance in the film is really extraordinary for a number of reasons. I'm curious, Fabienne, if you could speak about finding and choosing Salif for this crucial role that I think I imagine must have been quite difficult to hit this register of comedy, but also real emotion.
Non. It was easy. Non, c'était pas. En fait, non, c'était pas si compliqué que ça. Comment j'ai trouvé Salif au coin d'une rue? Non, je plaisante. C'est un directeur de casting, David Bertrand, qui m'a proposé en fait plusieurs jeunes acteurs avec la consigne que je voulais que ça soit des trentenaires. Et effectivement, quand je suis tombée sur Salif, il était très très au-dessus, je dirais, des autres, mais pas en termes forcément de compétences, mais de tout ce que je recherchais, de finesse du jeu, et puis de ce que Salif dégage de bienveillance. Et c'est un film qu'on aurait pu adapter en thriller. J'aurais pu faire en sorte que, par exemple, le personnage de Baptiste utilise les données de manière malveillante. Là, non, j'étais vraiment dans un registre de comédie, donc il fallait que le comédien qui incarne Baptiste incarne déjà tout ça, je dirais presque dans les premières images, de cette bienveillance, et on sait que ça va pas mal se passer. Voilà, et puis après, c'est Salif. Salif, c'est Salif. C'est-à-dire que il fallait un comédien qui soit très très bon, parce que ce qu'il fait, c'est pas seulement un rôle, c'est plein de rôles dans le film. Fallait quelqu'un qui sache la difficulté de ce à quoi on allait s'atteler pendant le tournage. Donc fallait quelqu'un qui ait envie de travailler, qui soit motivé. Enfin voilà, et Salif, il avait toutes ces qualités-là, et ça n'a pas été difficile de me décider. Je pense que j'ai dû mettre 10 minutes à me dire c'est Salif. Donc ça n'a pas été un choix très compliqué. Et après, sur le tournage, tout est écrit dans je dirais dans la dramaturgie, entre le moment un peu drôle, le moment un peu émouvant. Moi, je viens en fait de films qui sont pas drôles du tout. Donc c'était pas très compliqué de mettre de l'émotion. Après, voilà, puis j'étais très bien encadrée avec les comédiens, tous les comédiens qui étaient là, en fait.
Tout va bien, tout va bien. No, it wasn't so complicated, actually. I found Salif on a street corner, just joking. He was actually introduced to me by the casting director, David Bertrand, who had suggested a few young actors to me. I had said that I wanted someone about 30, and I would say that Salif was far above the others, not so much in terms of his ability, but in having exactly what I was looking for, which was the quality of his acting and also the kindness and benevolence that Salif just naturally has. You know, one could have adapted this novel as a thriller where the character could have used the data that was handed over to him for ill, to do something bad. But of course, this was not the case here. We wanted to do a comedy. And so Baptiste has this kindness, this benevolence that allows us to see from the very first images that everything is going to go well. Salif is Salif. You know, he's a very good actor, so he was able to take on all these multiple roles that he has throughout the film. And he also knew how difficult it would be to do this throughout the shoot. He was ready to work hard. He was very motivated. Salif had all these qualities. So it wasn't a hard decision to decide that it was going to be Salif. I think it took me all of 10 minutes to say, this is him. And then, you know, on the shoot, I think that the amount of comedy or emotion was written into the dramaturgy. You know, I come from movies that are not funny at all, so it wasn't so hard for me to get the emotional parts, and then I was very well surrounded by the actors.
Salif, bravo. It's a beautiful performance. I'm curious if it's a very natural performance. I feel that you inhabit this character of Baptiste very naturally. I'm curious if you have experience with comedy, with this kind of performance world, or if this was far removed from your experience as an actor.
No, I'm really happy that actually we got along well with Fabienne, because you know, when you're saying comedy in France, it's a very large range of comedies. So I wanted to do something. I had expectancies. I wanted to do something, you know, that is close to the heart. I thought it was a very human, you know, kind of role, and a very human comedy. You know, something that happens. You know, not something very technical with rhythms, breaking rhythms and stuff. It's not really my style. I could do it, but it's not something that amused me. And we got along very well with that. And my first film was kind of like that. It was a subtle comedy author. I think in France we never really, how you say that? We never really, comment on dit ça? Assumer?
We never own.
We never owned the fact that we want to do comedies. You know, for this one, we always want to do something very intelligent but comedy-like. And sorry. Very subtle, and this one was like that, so I was a little bit scared, but it was good, it was okay. I think that's the question. Okay, cool.
I think there's sort of a magical synthesis that happens that we watch between Baptiste and Pierre, where they sort of almost take on each other's mannerisms. Certainly Baptiste, when he's impersonating Pierre, it's almost like an optical illusion where you see the actor, Denis Podalydès, playing Pierre. I'm curious if you and Denis sort of coordinated your performances, if you spoke about this level of impersonation beyond just the voice, and that carried over into physicality and facial expression.
Obviously, Denis Podalydès is an extraordinary actor. So the first thing he asked was, do you want me to, lean into more deeper voice? Do you want me to find a particular walk so you can do it? He was very leaning into the technical things, and I don't know what I answered to that, but I was already, I wanted a mimetism, but something very subtle. And actually, we coordinated with Michael Gregorio, that is sitting to my right, that is a very famous impersonator, very, very, very talented. So he allowed me to enter into his kitchen, and he taught me a little bit of the usual things that he does to, what it takes, the little bits of things, very subtle, that it takes from people to actually be able to impersonate them. So that's what we took. And I remember a particular thing that we remarked together is that Denis, with his voice, have a very distinctive thing. He has like a kind of a fry thing with his voice, and it's really come on, it's really close to the Californian girls, how they talk. A little bit like that, and he has that. He has that as a French white male over 60, and it was very funny for us to, we played a lot of this on this, and so every time I was losing kind of his persona, I don't know how to say it, I was remembering the Californian girl. So, it's not really something like, it's not. Yeah, we didn't coordinate, but he gave us things without knowing, and it's good for a type of actor like that. So, yeah.
Michael, I'm so curious about your contributions to the film. If you could perhaps start by speaking about your impressions of the project, how you embarked on this project of working with Fabienne, and what your work was like on the film.
Well, I was quite early on the project. I think it was like probably 7 years ago, for during COVID, I think, and she sent me the script, and I really liked it, and I thought it was like science fiction, because it's impossible to really do that. Well, you can do impressions, but you can't do that with the family. It's too much. So I was like, how can we do that? How can we find the good duet also? So the Pierre and Baptiste, like how can we? And I was very curious. And then she introduced me Salif, and we worked together. We spent a lot of time listening to the voice of Denis Podalydès. And we had a lot of fun playing Valley Girls. Valley Girls, yeah, that was pretty funny. We tried to find like a place in his voice where we could find some stuff of Pierre, of Denis, and that was a lot of fun. And also we worked on the commitment of the voice. Of course, when you play with your voice, the body follows. Like if you're doing different placement, and all the body's gonna follow. So we worked a lot on the commitment, the engagement of the voice together. But it was such an honor because he's just an amazing actor, and he knows, like he's from drama theater, so he knows the stage. So it was very easy. He knows his voice so well, and so it was pretty easy to work with him. He did an amazing work, an amazing job on this film.
I think there's a way in which, even if the focus is impersonation or impressions, I think improvisation is also an important element of this story. Michael, what you were talking about in terms of on the fly speaking with family members or friends, or making decisions on behalf of another person. And I'm curious if either in the writing process or in production, in rehearsing, for instance, if improvisation was a topic that you collectively dug into, just because I think there's a real part of the magic is this insight that Baptiste gets into who Pierre is as a person, and becoming Pierre is more than just sounding like Pierre. It's also
Exactly. It was actually the opposite. You wanted to be the more natural, the more subtle, to be able to act, not imitate.
Yeah, I wanted to be kind of free of what he could give us, because Denis Podalydès, we spoke to him, we rehearsed with him a little bit, but I didn't want him like to control his performance so we can impersonate, because an actor of this stature, of that level, he knows everything about his body, his voice, and I wanted things that escapes him. So actually, I was more looking into that, and I was scared that we used kind of a technique where I would like just do playback, so anything he could like how to say that. Like he says the lines, and I just have to repeat it. It would have closed the performance a little bit. It would have made it less natural. And actually, we did the reverse. So on stage, I was using his voice all the time when I was speaking as him, and I could, improv a little bit. But the text actually, the text was really good. So I love to improvise, but I didn't need to, actually. It was just small words, small things that I heard him say on an interview that I watched, or when he talked to Fabienne, and he's not Denis Podalydès, but he's just like a man asking questions, and this kind of things I've put it in there. So yeah.
And Fabienne, working on the screenplay, did you anticipate, or how do you go about writing a screenplay that anticipates this element of improvisation and that embeds it within a written script?
Mais il y avait très peu d'improvisation. C'est ce que dit Salif, c'est-à-dire que l'improvisation, en fait, elle était sur des petites répliques, sur des petits moments, sur des mises en espace. Hein. Mais le texte était quand même très, très présent. C'était très, très écrit. Donc, il n'y avait pas ce... Enfin, il y avait... Voilà.
Actually, there was very little improv. It's what Salif was just saying. The improvisation is in the case of maybe short lines or little moments, spaces that we left, but the text was actually very present. It was a very written screenplay.
I think there's an emotional intuitiveness that I found incredibly immediate and present, and I commend you all for achieving that. Perhaps the illusion of improvisation.
Yeah, but because it's actually energy thing. I feel like if you don't get along with your partners on the scene, this kind of intuitiveness, well, very hard to say, intuitiveness is less perceivable. I think it'd be harder. I mean, with Denis Podalydès, we didn't exchange that much. We didn't went on coffees near the Seine or things like that. We just got along with, I watched his performances before. I thought I was very close. I felt close to this actor, to this man, and he said the same thing about me, surprisingly. So I was like, okay, we get along, actually. Like, actors are like animals sometimes, and we just, need to see if we can stay in the same room, and it happened with us. So yeah, so this thing just circulates, and with the other actresses, I mean, those are people that I know, I'm friends with them, we get along well, it's easier.
Je crois qu'il y avait en fait ce qui fait que ça a fonctionné, mais autant entre Michael, Salif et Denis, c'est qu'il y avait une admiration et un respect réciproque, vraiment réciproque. Donc, et une envie de travailler, une envie de jouer ensemble. Et ça se sentait dès la lecture en fait du scénario.
I think what made it work is that between Michael, Salif, and Denis, in every direction, there was a reciprocal admiration and respect, and a desire to work together. And I think that's something that could really be felt from the very first reading.
I think we can take one audience question. We're a bit short on time, but if you raise your hand, there'll be a mic that comes so everyone can hear. No? If not, we'll up. There's a hand all the way in the back. If you keep your hand up, the mic will come to you.
Yes. First of all, I'd like to say it was brilliant, everyone. But I also wanted to say I had mixed feelings about the ending. At first, I said, being a romantic, I wanted to see either at the end or in the credits, you walking off hand in hand with the daughter. And then part of me said, wait, maybe realistically, everybody goes on to their wonderful separate life. I would like to ask you what you think of that ending. Yes. Et ça peut être en français parce que mon mari est français.
Okay, only because your husband is French. What I thought about this ending, I don't know. I mean, okay, I'm gonna confess. I think I have a very cliche kind of thinking about comedy, romantic comedies. So at the end, with everything that I watched, like they finish with each other and they kiss and good night. But I always and I think it's a kind of a French thing. Like I mean, women directors, they want to end these kind of relationships, or not ending, but they want to portray them very accurately. In a modern way. I think it's a modern way to say that, yeah, I mean, they had a little thing, but it didn't go all the way, and it's okay. She's in Berlin, he's doing whatever, and maybe they will cross paths with each other in 5 years or 2 months. I don't know. I think it's more realistic. But I mean, in my private life, I live that, so I can say it's realistic. But so I can't really say what I wanted. Yeah, kissing and goodbye maybe, but I don't know. I hope it's not a disappointing answer.
Fabienne, anything to add, or do you think that the ending speaks for itself?
Non, moi je trouvais que c'était un peu cliché Enfin, oui, j'avais pas envie de mener une comédie romantique jusqu'au bout. Et là, en fait, c'est open. Donc, peut-être qu'ils vont se retrouver, peut-être pas. En tout cas, Baptiste, il a fait le taf. C'est-à-dire qu'il a permis à chacun de se révéler, d'aller vers lui-même. Et voilà, et c'est la plus belle chose qu'il pouvait faire.
I think I would have found that a little bit cliche. I didn't really feel like taking a romantic comedy all the way to the end. In this way, it's open. Maybe they will meet again. In any case, what we can say is that Baptiste did the work. He allowed everyone to reveal themselves and go to themselves. And I think that was a beautiful thing.
I fully agree. That's a beautiful note to end on, so thank you all so much, and thank you as well.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.